A tournament comes down to one final matchup. Mexico and the United States for the right to be crowned the America's Cup champion in 2019. I'm Ricochet, and welcome to MSPN's coverage of Marble Fubeca's America's Cup, as we are here for our final matchup to the America's Cup. This is Collision with Electric Paddles. A very large course making their way down. There are some obstacles, and the point is to score. Very much as very similar to what we saw with the spinner collision. This is a collision with paddles instead that'll help move you from one way to another. And there are the final four: Colombia, Brazil, Mexico, and the United States. All to be commended for their great effort in the 2019 America's Cup. But ultimately, it was Mexico and the United States. There is a, wow, that is very intense looking. First matchup is our third place match, Colombia and Brazil. 3 rounds are going to determine who wins third place and a spot on the podium. Highest score after 3 rounds is going to win that right. Mostly blue with yellow is Brazil. And the more yellow-centric is Colombia, and off they go very quickly. I think everybody scored. Nope, down at the bottom there's an 8 that did not go for Colombia, and one of the Brazilian marbles went out of the rink. And so Brazil, with a 3, a 6, and a 6, beats out the 8 and the 4 for Colombia. And Brazil takes a 15-12 lead. Early advantage for the Brazilians, trying to place in this tournament. They switch sides now. You have to be very, very close and watch very intently, because this is a very fast-paced marking. Let's see who makes it through. There was a 2. Making more contact as Colombia all over the place. They might stop now. Yep. Colombia still trying to get them to fall in. It looks like it's too little too late, and it is. Colombia adds 4 points. I'm sorry, Brazil adds 4 points. Colombia added a 6, which you just saw go in. There was a 2 for Brazil. Brazil picked up a couple of 2s. 1 6 for Colombia. They do gain 4 points. I'm sorry, 2 points on what was a 3-point lead, and so it comes down to the final matchup. 19-12, or 19-18, I beg your pardon there, is the score. 3 points after 1 round, 1 point after 2, down to the last one. Colombia scored well there. Brazil really needs to get one to go. Colombia still has 2 rolling around. Let's see if anybody can fall in. They're all right around. There's near the 10. Won't score that. They're all going to stop, and that is it. And just enough for Brazil. They pick up 9. Colombia scored only 1. It was an 8, but their other 2 marbles didn't score a single point. It costs them, and at the final, it is Brazil 28 and Colombia 26. Those last marbles, if they had fallen in even just a 3 or a 4, which they were somewhat near. They were pretty close to the 2 there for a moment. They could have had the opportunity. That is not the case. Brazil is credited with third place. So congratulations to the Brazilians. A competition that started with 16 teams after we were eliminated through our rounds of competition to even get into it. We dropped down to 16, and after that they will place third, as Brazil gets the win here in what is an appetizer to the main course that is the championship matchup. One standing in the other's way of winning this cup and being crowned champion. There is the United States and their cheering section at the top of the stands. Very similar to the way they were in the semifinal matchups, and very close to the rink itself is Mexico. The paddles are ready. The marbles are ready. And we are off. Mexico in the green, the United States being represented in silver. Making their way down the winding track. First run, here we go. The U.S. has a couple that are in. Mexico had 1-3. There's a 10 for the United States. Big run early on for the U.S. And Mexico having a couple of marbles that are struggling to score. I don't think they're going to score. Maybe one more. Oh, there's a big run for Mexico. It only gained them 2 points, but it's still enough to add on. 3 for Mexico, 2 for Mexico. There's the 3. The United States picks up an 8, a 4, and a 10, as you'll see the 10 come by in just a moment. Didn't even make contact with one of those paddles, just slowly rolled in. And the United States takes a large 22-5 lead after one round. It is a 17-point advantage, a huge start for the U.S. They'll switch sides, and the United States hoping to have as much success from this side as they did from the last. I think that was 8 for Mexico. There's an 8 for the United States. They pick up a 3. Mexico picks up a 10. There's a big one. And the other 2 are going to stop. It was an 8 and a 3 for the U.S., an 8 and a 10 for Mexico. They pick up 7 points, and they cut the lead down to 10. There was the 8 for Mexico. There was the 8 for the United States. And then the separator, a 3 for the U.S. And with some assistance from a paddle, there's 10 for Mexico to get them back in this thing. Lead still comfortable for the United States. It's one final turn. Round 3 of 3, and the final time in the 2019 America's Cup that these teams will compete for a championship. One more time down the course they go as they will enter into the rink. The U.S., oh, very close. They still have a couple going. There's 10. The United States is going to clinch it. That is it. The Mexicans did as much as they could. They score 3 8s, but U.S. with a 10 at the very end. How about the effort by Mexico? There's an 8, there's an 8, there's an 8. A 6 for the United States, and then the championship winner. Wow. What a finish that Mexico and the U.S. gives us. And at the very end, with I guess some help from the wind from those electric paddles, there is the championship. A tight finish, as tight as you're going to get. 49-48, that's the final, as the United States wins the 2019 America's Cup by a single point. That is impressive. What an effort by Mexico. But it is a little bit too little too late. They fell behind by 17 points early. And here comes the podium. Brazil will win the bronze. Mexico gets second to be crowned silver. And the United States, after a huge lead early, they take 2 10s, including the final marble to go through. That is the one that wins it, as they have to hold on and then even come from behind against Mexico with a great effort in the final run. But ultimately, the United States outlasts everybody else, and they win the 2019 America's Cup. A great run. As you see some highlights here, it was a very fun event to be a part of, and so it was a pleasure to be a part of the 2019 America's Cup. And so signing off for the final time from the America's Cup, I'm Ricochet, and you've been watching MSPN's coverage of Marble Fubeca's America's Cup.